Your faith was a convenient tool for them. Your faith was nothing so important for them than a tool to keep you. The story of the birth of Jesus, which once claimed that it was happening in Bethlehem, now was presented fitting to Northern Europe with snow falling, sledges and reindeers. The whole story got several interpretations fitting to your situations so that you feel comfortable. The story was not that important. The important thing was the establishment. For nearly 2 centuries, the Catholic Church told people that if you take a shower, it's a sin. We all know what kind of morality the church was trying to spread with their clergymen misbehaving with young children. Rejecting religion becomes a bigger task than mere atheism. But you have to see that you have to stop the influence of the organized religion, messing up with politics, messing up with education, messing up with your life, messing up with your social life, your cultural life, and your entire practical life in front of you. If you want to think that Muhammad need not be the last prophet, he may not be a prophet at all. Can you be killed for that? Can you speak it out? If you're told that Muhammad's picture should not be drawn and somebody wants to draw a picture, can you be killed because of that? They are not understanding that you have to write it, you who have to decide what you should do with your life. But if you're in Saudi Arabia, sometimes you don't have that opportunity, you don't have that freedom, because the religious police will come and take you, and you may face an execution squad very soon. What is religion? For many people, religion is a set of beliefs, their own special upbringing, the way they have been taught what the universe is and what life is and what are the objectives of life is, and a set of codes of what is to be done and what is not to be done. But interestingly, the way all the religions try to see the universe as well as human life vary from each other. You can see some similarities, for example, similarities in the religions that are emerging from one geographical area. For example, the Semitic religions have common mythology. All of them believe that the humans were molded from either from clay or dark clay, but then the God has given some air to the nose, and human life has begun like that. If you come to the Oriental religions, there are so many different perspectives of how life has emerged. There are contradictory worldviews, there are contradictory mythologies, and which can be totally against each other, even in one single faith. If you go to Hinduism, for example, the present-day Hinduism has so many different worldviews, so many different attitudes, so many different mythological stories, and so many different ways of understanding what the meaning of life is. So then what connects all these things together to make us to call as religion? What does it mean? The classical definition is very simple, that it's a socio-cultural system which involves a lot of beliefs, morals, practices, holy texts, and prophecies, ethics, all these kind of set of values, which they think are part of the religion. And people and children belonging to the religious structure are educated, are brought up under that belief system. So you are in that religion, not because you have studied something, you have understood something, but simply because you are born in a family where your parents or the people who are taking care of you as guardians had a set of beliefs. It was not your choice. One of the classical sentences of Robert Greene Ingersoll is that the religion is just a biological coincidence. If you're born in your neighbor's house who has a different religion, you would have that religion. If your parents were different, you would have a different religion. If you're born in Turkey, if you're born in Saudi Arabia, you would be a Muslim. If you're born in somewhere in northern India, you would be a Hindu in some of the castes. If you're born in Israel or any Jewish community, you are a Jew. It's not you who decided what your religion is. It's the circumstances. It's your environment. It's the mere coincidence that where you are born is the key to decide your religion. Imagine in a hospital, if there are parents, if there are, 5 or 6 women delivering children who belong to separate religions, and just by a mess up in the hospital, if the children got exchanged, well, if you're now a Christian, you could be a Muslim. It was not your choice. You could be a Buddhist. You could be from a different caste. It doesn't make any difference, your actual birth. It's just a coincidence. It's a geographical coincidence. It's a biological coincidence. It's not your decision. But still, you cling on that. You argue for that. You fight for that. You kill for that. And you would make life for other people miserable because of your faith, which you did not choose. So what does it mean for all of us who does not want a situation that your thoughts that were not decided by you, your way of living which was not decided by you, should make you an intolerant person, make you a person who would not accept others like you, make you a person who is absolutely intolerant about others' worldview? How does it work? And what exactly is religion is to be seen not only on the faith structure. Many people would say that belief in God or belief in supernatural is the key of all fear. It's coming from your fear. And the whole thing is based on your fear, your fear of the supernatural, your ignorance about the supernatural make you afraid of everything, and that makes you religious. But was it like that? You are not afraid of anything, but still you are brought up in a religion. You are just growing natural. But your parents told you that you are a Christian, that you are a Hindu, that you are a Buddhist, that you belong to this caste, that you are a Jew. Your parents told you, and you are in that religion. You did not think about the universe at that time. You did not think about your limitation of knowledge to understand this universe. You did not think of life after death. You did not think about the past karma. You did not think of anything. Before you could think, before you could start imagining, the ideas were imposed upon you. And these ideas got registered there. And you reach a situation that you feel that you are part of that faith. You cannot come out of that. But was that religion or was that a faith system? If you look at the whole thing, you can see that religion has 2 major elements. One is the faith system that you are in. It is not your choice, but by a biological or geographical coincidence, you got into it and you cling on it, you argue for it, you fight for it, you believe that's the truth. Because you don't want to think in a different way. You don't want to play your mind against it, or critically, you don't want to verify the stories that you are told, and you just believe as part of your common knowledge that these mythologies were just true for you. And on the other side, the religion is an institution, which is what many people are not actually seeing. Whenever we speak about religion or faith or atheism or your agnosticism and all, it's all connected with your personal feeling, where you stand, your personal belief, That is what is generally considered as religion. But that's only one aspect of religion. The religion for you as a person is your faith system, which is not your choice, but you are in it. But the religion, on the other side, is not your faith system alone, but it's an institution. Look at the Catholic Church, an institution which was formalized by an emperor, something like 1600 years back. It was in the 4th century, Emperor Constantine established formally the Catholic Church. There was a big synod, a religious meeting, wherein different scholars of different faith system of the common general mythology sat together for a long time, several weeks and several months, and they codified, adopted certain books as the holy books, and rejected some other texts as not holy books, which they call apocrypha, and made that as the fundamental belief system of the Roman Catholic Church. Emperor Constantine practically was the creator of the Roman Catholic Church in the present format. But that was in the 4th century. From the wealth and power and extent of the Roman Catholic Church, with the power of the Roman Empire, it had long and huge influence upon a major part of our civilization. Over the centuries, it controlled kingdoms, small empires, and decided who shall rule you, and decided what shall be the order of the day, and decided how your monies are to be spent, how your tax monies have to go, how the system should work, and how things should go the way they want it. And whenever there was any question coming, they knew how to stop it. Whenever there were questions coming out, whenever there was a challenge, that is all suppressed. With the power of the emperor, with the power of the mighty church, the Pope as the true representative of the God on earth was infallible, was the trio, the Pope, the emperor, and the system together took every decision for you, took every decision for your faith, and your faith was completely surrendering to these systems. You had no choice. And any voice came out was suppressed. There were long, dark ages in Europe. And anybody who believed differently, anybody who had a traditional belief which they continued, or anybody who raised questions, or anybody tried to understand the universe or the system in a different way, were all suppressed. They were called witches. They were called pagans, or they were called heretics. So the heretics and the pagans and the witches were all punished. The church believed that they were purifying these people with fire. They killed them, they burned them alive, and stabilized the faith by eliminating all the opponents. This institution, this gigantic institution, it's a huge hierarchy, starting from the Pope at one side, under whom there are cardinals and bishops and priests, a huge hierarchy, wherein millions of people were working day in and day out, paid with paid salaries, or controlling practical corporations, became the authority of your faith. Your faith was a convenient tool for them to run this empire. Your faith was nothing so important for them than a tool to keep you under the control of this system, which they kept intact. Anybody in the Roman Catholic Church who is just a member of the church was not part of the church. They were called laity. The hierarchy was different. The priesthood, the clergymen, they discussed and told you what to believe. And they gave different interpretations fitting to different geographical situations. Sometimes they told that God is, God can be presented in a way that your local faiths understand it. The pictures of God changed. The color changed. The shapes changed. The Semitic mythological hero, Jesus Christ, who would be a Moor or an Arab, got an Italian face, fitting to the European new members of the church. The story of the birth of Jesus, which once claimed that it was happening in Bethlehem, now was presented fitting to Northern Europe with snow falling and sledges and reindeers. The whole story got several interpretations fitting to your situations so that you feel comfortable. The story was not that important. The important thing was the establishment, the system. This is what many of us generally won't see. For us, religion is our faith system. It's not just our faith system. Our faith system is a tool articulated upon us by the people who were the custodians of the faith. They decided what is right and what is wrong, and what is the correct faith and what is the wrong faith. What was considered a good faith at one time, in another historical time, was considered a wrong faith. I was telling about the Roman Catholic Church as an institution, the richest religious organization at this moment. The wealth of the Roman Empire got accumulated in the Catholic Church exchequers. As it is known now, perhaps the richest religious organization is the Catholic Church. And they have a lot of money. And where is that money? It's not coming from the God. It came from the empire. The empire's money came from the people. The people's money, whatever they have produced and whatever money that was collected by the emperors were all now gone into the Catholic Church, which is now very efficiently invested. That is why people like scholars like Avro Manhattan has called Catholic Church as a big corporation. Catholic Church is a big corporation run by appointed people or selected people. That is what the church is. What you believe, your spiritual world is a problem for you. That is not what religion is. Religion is primarily the big establishment, the organization. Look at all the literature that speak about religion philosophically. They all try to understand it as a matter of your faith system. But it's only a part of it. That's precisely what I was trying to explain to you. Religion is a faith system for the believer. It is an institution. It's changing faith system. And the faith system is not that important for the establishment that is religion. For example, whatever rituals that you have, it has changed over centuries. Whatever small belief patterns that were explained to you changed over centuries. Whatever fine explanations given to you by the religion also changed as per convenience and as per time passed by. At one time, for nearly 2 centuries, the Catholic Church told people that if you take a shower, it's a sin. For 2 centuries, people did not take a shower. People probably were stinking at that time. I do not know whether the perfume industry came out from that times, but there were, theological explanations why you should not take a shower. And the faithful, the religious people, believed that. They were afraid to take a shower because they thought the evil spirits would enter your body if you take a shower. That was faith at that time. That was religion for the common folk at that time. The faith of the common folk and the system that religion is are two different things. The moment you realize religion with this clear understanding that the faith that is given to you and the institution that controls your faith and decides what your faith should be, and the institution that keeps on running the show is the real religion. So when you suggest that the free thinking is one of the keys to come out of religion, when you have your critical faculties invoked, you think it will help you to come out of the religion. But to have a situation that there is no religion, you have to understand the fundamentals of this system that keeps it going. The rituals were established for it was good for the church. The funerals were planned in a way that it is good for the church. The baptization was regularized in a way that it is good for the church. Your marriages were solemnized in a way that it is good for the church. How it is good for the church? How the church always think in two different ways. How to keep you in the fold. You are the kindly. The church cannot lose the kindly. Imagine in the market terms what church is. The corporation that church is and the kindly that the laity is. And faith is your faith is the marketing method that is used by the institution that the religion is. That's with Catholic Church. Look at the Eastern churches. Do you think that they have a different pattern? Look at the Orthodox churches. And if you see, you can see a lot of saints. You can see a lot of symbols that make you feel closer to it. The brands that you feel comfortable with. You have a Virgin Mother. You feel close to that branch. You have a hanging Jesus. You feel close to that branch. You have an infallible Pope. You feel close to that branch. So this brand is sold to keep your loyalty to the branch. And when you have baptism, you are kept in the root of your loyalty to the system. When you want to have a marriage, you have to go to the church. When you want a confirmation, you have to go to the church. When you want a funeral, you have to go to the church. They told you how to get a child introduced to the world. They told you how to get in union with your partner. They told you how to handle the persons who pass away. Everywhere they had a hand. They controlled your life. Your faith, for you, your religion is the faith system that you are in. But the religion, in general, is not only your faith system, but the system that runs it. This is where most of us were not giving enough attention. Look at any religion. It has a set of rituals. Hundreds of rituals. Connecting to everything connected to your life. You buy a car, it's to be blessed by a priest. You buy a new house, the priest would come and bless the house so that the evil spirits are warded off. And you have a problem. If you have a health problem, you may go to a doctor, but still you want to have a special offering to the church. There are special prayers and there are special saints for each kind of ailment and each kind of problems. These all are secondary brands wherein you feel close to and you feel comfortable with. And you are made comfortable. It makes you believe that you need these situations, these rituals, these saints, these brands, these holy men to keep running your life. And for you, religion is all in you. It's in your brain, you think. When you want to come out of the religion also, you always think that the whole thing is a packed software in my brain. It was wired in me. I want to come out of it. But when you personally come out of it, it's not sufficient. The system remains there. The system keeps on enrolling new people in a way that nobody has an escape route. Every single person has to struggle a lot to come out of it because they are indoctrinated. In their childhood, when they're very vulnerable, the ideas are put upon you. For every single person who was brought up in a religious background, find it difficult to come out, even when they realize that it's all absurd, even when they realize that these rituals are meaningless, even when they realize that the whole system is a false. Still you feel helpless because you are brought up in a way that you are in an enslavement, and there is no chain around you physically, enslaved in a situation that you feel helpless if you come out. That's how they make you up. That's how they insist that you should be brought up. You feel you are clinging on that. You feel that you want it. You feel that you have no existence if you leave the religion. You feel that you will be socially isolated. They will try to socially isolate you also. Earlier times, they would excommunicate you, or maybe they will torture you. But in the present context, nobody can torture a person if one leaves the religion, of course, unless you are in a Muslim country and you are a murtad leaving the religion. That eventually. But in a normal situation, where there are free, officially free religions are there, you feel enslaved and you feel afraid to come out. Because every single person has to go through this process of getting liberated. When they start thinking, they have to go through this process of getting liberated. It's a long exercise. They know how difficult it is. And there are, in many countries, a lot of people have come out of religion. And in so many countries, people are coming up or growing up without the influence of religion. The moment religion is not taught to a child, the moment religious education is taken away from the schools, the moment children are not compulsorily brought into the religious education pattern, the mighty authority of the churches would collapse. That is why they want children to be taught in the religious format from the early childhood. That's why they have Sunday schools. That's why they insist on religious education in schools. If you are an adult and you can opt to religion, majority of the people may not opt for religion. At least they think that that would be not possible. So once you are succumbing to this system, you are in a situation that every single individual coming up has to fight to come out. That is why religion is not only a wired program in your brain, it is a system. It is an institutionalized method which keeps you in that situation. You can get liberated, but if you want to end the influence of religion, you have to address this issue of indoctrinating children and forcing children to grow up in the religious atmosphere and liberate them from the clutches of the clergymen and get them out of it. And if they want to have any religion, of course, as an adult, they can choose any religion, or any religion what they want, or leave any faith, or they can live as free individuals. But the moment that kind of a situation emerges, well, religion's control is over with that. And recently, there was a study about the influence of stopping religious education schools in Germany. The religious teachers cried foul. They said that will stop morality, as if they were the custodians of morality. We all know what kind of morality the church was trying to spread, with their clergymen misbehaving with young children. All around the world, such stories are there. Still, they claim that they are the custodians of morality and ethics. They foul cry when the religious education was stopped in Germany. The result was encouraging, really encouraging, that the children who were growing up without religious indoctrination in schools, most of them opted to have a life without religion. And that did not affect their ethical value system or their moral value system. Religion has nothing to do with it. Every single religion claims that they are the custodians of ethics and morality. For example, we have been speaking about Christianity. There are people who did not get exposed to Christianity or any of the Semitic religions in Japan, in Laos, in Cambodia, all these parts of the world, and many parts of India. They all have the same kind of ethical life standards, same kind of value system, almost similar. And if that is the case, what was the contribution of the Catholic Church in getting the people their ethical and moral value system? In fact, they have nothing to do with it. They only claim that they are the custodians of it. There are other religions who claim the same thing. Let's take another example. Look at the Muslim faith system. They are told from the very beginning that they are following Allah's path. And Muhammad was the only prophet, the last prophet. Allah was the only God and Muhammad was the last prophet. And they were told to believe that they have to be very, very loyal to Allah and the Prophet. And they have to have namaz 5 times a day, a kind of conditioning. From the very childhood, you are conditioned to be in that. You fold your head and do the whole process of namaz 5 times a day from the very childhood. And there are madrasas and madrasas, which are religious education centers where you are told what are the ultimate words and what are the God's words and how it was presented to you by the Prophet. And you are presented that Muhammad was a very peaceful person whenever it is necessary. And when another place, when it is necessary, you are told that you have to fight till your last breath, till your final drop of blood falls down. You have to fight for your political goal. From the same book. So you are told to understand the faith system the way the custodians of the faith want you to come up. If you are in a madrasa in Pakistan, in northern part of Northwest Frontier province of Pakistan, or in Afghanistan, you are told what is Islam in a very different way. You are coming up with a strong determination and desire to be killed for spreading of Islam. And you feel that's the greatest thing that you can achieve. You are told that there is a heaven waiting for you with a lot of special privileges. And we are willing to go there. And every time, Islam is a political religion, like Catholic Church was earlier. This political religion everywhere. And what is religion for a Muslim? That again, you can see the same fine divide. The system of Islam, the faith system of Islam, is controlled by a set of people. The ulama, the religious scholars, the mosques, the preachers. That's a system. In some countries, that's also connected with the political power. It's directly dissenting from the political power and straight away reaching to the political power. And the common folk who are brought up in that religion, for them, religion is the faith system that they feel they are completely feel bonded with. But the religion is not the faith system alone. It's the mosque, it's the clergyman, it's the sultan, it's the person who is running the whole system. It could be the caliph, it could be anybody who would be the controller of the system. The way they want it, they made fatwas. The religious explanations were given, religious orders were given, and they decided what you believe. You are not allowed to think for yourself. You are not even allowed to read and understand these religious texts by yourself. They interpreted it the way they want it, the way they want it, the way you should understand it. In every given political situation, every given social situation, it was presented to you the way the custodians of the faith wanted you to believe. It was interpreted in that way. Therefore, Islam is presented as a religion of peace in some places. Many people even do not know that it has so many special statements that would advocate quite violence, destruction of the enemy, or elimination of anybody who would leave their faith. People are afraid. You are conditioned. You are brainwashed. You are into that. And you feel that you are a faithful person. You are in the faith. And when you think that this is wrong, the first thing that you feel is you are afraid to break the influence of the faith. You cannot come out because you are conditioned. You are absolutely into that. You cannot come out. And still you muster courage and you start thinking that it could be wrong. It could be in a different way. And you read books and you open the computer and you get more information. And I mean, you have a different understanding of the universe, different understanding of the society and system. You have a critical mindset slowly developing. Still you are afraid. Not only afraid of the God's wrath, but also you are afraid of the enemy around you, the local religious community around you, whose leaders would decide what would be your fate if you leave the faith. You question that Muhammad was a prophet. You question if the great reverence given to Muhammad is just meaningless. Can you do that? In Pakistan, even if there is an iota of doubt about your integrity to the prophet, you could be lynched by a huge crowd. So you have no freedom. You have no freedom of choice. So you still think that it's your faith. Faith is wide in your brain. No. It's wide in your brain because you are conditioned. But you can always come out of it if there is no fear connected with that. The first fear is what's supernatural. Many people are afraid. They are surrendering. They spend their whole life thinking that, I mean, some supernatural, I mean, God or Allah or, I mean, Jehovah or something is watching you all the time, and you have to be under the control of the faith system because the God is directly interfering into your life. That's one pattern of religion. But more than that, you're afraid about the actual religion, the institution of religion around you, the local religious community, the fanatics around you, the religious leaders around you, the person who wants to stone you to death. You have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend, you decide to be together, but you are not married. Well, it becomes a sin. You have a fear of sin, number one. Number two, if you come out of that fear, still there is a community around you who want to apply the laws of God, the laws of the religion upon you, wherein they want the adulterer or somebody who have sexual relation in between them before marriage should be stoned to death, only apparently for the female. But that's what is religion is. Religion is in one format of it, as we all understand, as a faith system. It's freedom of thought that is required. It's indoctrination that has to end. Yes, it has to end. That's very, very important. And it's something wired in your brain because you are conditioned. Absolutely true. But all what you have to try to do is not only to liberate the individual to work hard and come out of this. That is what the rationalist movement and free thought movement have been trying for centuries, and that was very, very successful also. We now see that the fastest growing faith system in the world, if you call it a faith system, is the non-faith. The non-believers, their number is growing very fast. It's a huge success that the free thought and rationalist and atheist movement has achieved over the last few centuries. But that's not enough. Still many people who are in the closets, who want to come out, who are stopped by two different things. And if you think that they are only stopped by their faith, their mind of submission, no, it's not correct. They are afraid more than the God They're afraid of the ground realities around them. They don't want to be tortured. They don't want to be killed. They don't want to be butchered. They don't want to be socially isolated. Therefore, they are forced to be in the religion because it's a religious institution, the structural religion, that the faith religion is stopping you to come out. So what I propose here is religion fundamentally is not only a faith system, it's an institution, it's a system that forces you, push you back into that, even if you want to come out. Your liberty, your individual understanding, your reading, your scientific knowledge, your development of scientific attitude liberates you. But you should have the freedom to choose what you want. And that should be guaranteed by stopping these religious institutions to interfere into your life. Unless and until these religious institutions are stopped to interfere into the life of people and if you cannot stop them to make the life of the people in misery, in real life, we cannot achieve the fruits of freedom of thought. Therefore, the struggle that we have to take forward, or the freedom from religion, will come as a reality not only by freedom of thought, not only by thinking rationally, not only by understanding things, not only by developing scientific attitude, but also by stopping these institutions to interfere and mess up with the lives of people. That is where the rationalist movement has to take a political position. I don't say that rationalists should go into a political party, but they should articulate their position politically. They should influence the political decision making. They should be able to advocate their position that their lives cannot be messed up or cannot be interfered by the institutions of religion. And they should not be allowed to do that. Now let's come to another set of the Oriental religions, the Hindu faith system, or the Buddhist faith system, or Shintoism, Taoism, all these religions. There is a fundamental difference in the structure of the Oriental religions and the Semitic religions. Well, there are three sets of religions. I mean, broadly, if you take, divide into the whole faith system. The Oriental religions, which mainly believes in a lifestyle than institutions. Many people think that Hinduism, as it has emerged now, is a set of beliefs wherein you can choose whatever you want from out of a huge variety of things. You can believe in the Vedas and believe in the natural forces as the gods. And you can believe in the great fire sacrifices to please the gods. The god sun and the god of rain and the god of thunder and all these gods and any kind of things that you want to achieve, even to extend your lifespan, everything you can have a fire ceremony and you can try it in the Vedic way. Well, that's one possibility of it. But coming to that, it's not permitted for everybody. You cannot do that. Many of these rituals will fulfill only with a person with a certain special heritage recites it. All these magical words or the mantras can be recited only by a Brahmin, only by a person from the priestly class, which is decided by birth. Well, you can see the same pattern in the Semitic religions also. There is a priest who would proclaim what is right and wrong and who would interpret what is good and bad, not only in your faith system, but also in your real life system. There's a priest coming to your home to advise you and help you think in the right way, which is convenient to the church always, or convenient to the mosque always. And they want you to go to them to get your home blessed, get your children blessed, and get your vehicles blessed, and everything coming under that system. Otherwise, they will identify you as a dissenter. It's not a problem with you and the supernatural. It's a problem with you and the structural religion around you, the institution of religion. You have, once you want to leave religion, you have two quarrels. One with the supernatural. That's an intellectual quarrel, and it's easy. There is no God coming and punishing you. Once you understand that this is just a fallacy and a baseless story, and there is no God coming and punishing you. But there is a priestly class waiting for you. There is a religious system waiting for you. They are actual. The gods are not real, but the priests are real. The religious system is real. The social isolation is real. The kind of persecution possibility is real. These are real threats. So more than the gods, the religious institutions are the real threat. So that's why I always say atheism is the fight in the first part of it. You reject the supernatural. And once you muster the courage to reject the supernatural with your understanding of the universe, I mean, if you go in the scientific way, if you start critical thinking, I mean, you can overcome that. You understand that this is baseless. But still, all around you, the structural religion, the organized religion, I mean, functions around you. That interferes in your social life, your cultural life, your day-to-day life, your family. Everywhere they interfere. And you're not allowed to go out of it. They know how to entangle you in different ways. You should have a lot of courage to get out of the real threat on earth than the supernatural threat. That can be kicked off from the left leg, but with the right leg, you have to fight against the actual institution of the religion that it is, the institution of religion. Rejecting religion becomes a bigger task than mere atheism. Atheism is important. It's important for your liberty, your individual liberation. But you have to see that you have to stop the influence of the organized religion, messing up with politics, messing up with education, messing up with your life, messing up with your social life, your cultural life, and your entire practical life in front of you. That is why once you are able to reject the supernatural, you should be able to understand the dangers of the religious institutions influencing the political system and influencing the education system, influencing your social life, influencing art, influencing culture in every single part of your life. That is where you have to understand the power of the forces of oppression and try to come out of it. And there should be legal protection for anybody who wants to leave religion. Once you know that there is no supernatural, once you know that there is no God, you don't need any protection. You know that it's just a fallacy, baseless thing. But you need actual protection if you want to really leave a religion. If you are in Saudi Arabia and you want to leave the religion, you can be executed. In 17 countries, if you want to leave the faith and live the life of an infidel, you can invite death penalty. It's not the supernatural. It's not the God. It's not the Allah. It's not the universal spirit, whatever it is going to come and punish you, but the actual system that controls the religion, the real ground reality, the institution of religion, that is coming there to punish you. It's not merely your freedom of your mind. It's not the wide system in your mind. That is the problem. That's the first step. Once you liberate, still you should be able to pursue further. And that's where we have to understand the difference between rejecting the supernatural and fighting the mighty monster that religion is. We have been speaking about the Oriental religions. Let's come to Hinduism. The present day Hinduism is a set of different castes. You're not born in Hinduism. You're born in a caste. Your caste is not decided by you. Well, religion, if it's permitted in some countries, I mean, you could convert to another religion if it's a liberal country, but of course, I mean, in a religious state, it's difficult. Though sometimes you can prolong your execution for a long time by a legal argument, but there can be angry crowds coming and, terminating you. Like in Bangladesh, what happened? Those people like Avijit Roy and other 27 people, who were bloggers and writing about critical thinking, they were all liberated people. They were all free thinkers. But they could not stop those people who sent people with sachets to slice them into pieces and kill them. We have to fight not only against the mental influence on people, we have to fight actually these political structures or the religious structures, the institutions, the ground reality around you that forces you not to come out when you want to come out. That forces you not to decide for yourself. So this is a twofold fight. The first primary, I would always say that when you start the journey through the highway of freedom, the first initial fence is your fear of supernatural or your belief in your God. And once you reject that, and once you start thinking, you will be easily rejecting the faith in a supernatural. If you are in a thinking mood, some people surrender their whole life with that system. I leave them. I'm speaking about those people who want to leave the faith because they're thinking. The thinking people, they who are using their critical faculties and coming out, the first thing that they would reject would be the idea about a supernatural force that controls your day-to-day life. You come out of that. But you have to live with your understanding. It should be possible for you to live with that. And what stops you to pursue your life the way you want it is what is the monster that religion is. For many people, religion is a matter of an institution that runs your rituals and get you socially, mixing up and all. And they want to keep it like that. Religion becomes a monster only when you want to leave it. It can come straightly as an institution. It can come by expressing its anger with the unknown people who were inspired by the protection, the idea of the protection of the faith. That is what they have inculcated in their mind. Even if sometimes the organized religion does not do anything because legally it may be bad for them, they have educated sufficient people or trained sufficient people to think that they are the protectors of God's interest and they want to go and do things what the gods want. And how can we get protection from them is the ground reality that we have to address. Gods we can manage, but these people we can manage only when we have the political clout to address it. That's what I was trying to tell you. Let's come to Hinduism again. If you are in a caste, you cannot come out of that. But you can think that you don't believe in this caste system. There is no God that decided that you should be in a certain caste. The way you think, for example, to find a girlfriend or boyfriend from a different caste should be absolutely okay for you. Though there are a lot of stories and mythology explaining that you have to keep the order of the varna, of this division of the society, because that was decided on the basis of your karma, what you have done in the past life. That's the source of it. And you have to abide by it. You have to continue your life accordingly. And you have to respect the higher caste as per the order. Then you will get a better life. That's what many people would think. But you think that this is absurd. I don't believe in that. And I don't believe in the division of the society hierarchically. I simply reject it. And I know another person who wants to share his or her life with me. And when we decide to be together, who would stop you? Will the God stop you? No. Who stops you will be the caste leaders, the representatives of the faith, the self-appointed custodians of the faith. They would come against you. They will catch you. They will attack you. They will stop you. They will, though the laws will protect you, they will end your life or they will make your life miserable. So, which is where for a liberated person from the faith, the gods are immaterial. But the ground reality of religion or the caste or the faith system is more important. So fighting religion and caste is more important than fighting the idea of God. Or I would say that both are important, but for a liberated person, or to get those people who are coming out of this faith, for them it's more important or easier for them to reject the gods because it's his choice or her choice. But to live peacefully is not normally a choice of the person who lives. It's the choice of others who want to decide how you should believe and what you should believe and when you should practice what. What is your life is to be decided by them because they know what is good religion, what is bad religion, and what is the good religious faith and what is bad religious faith and how the bad religious faiths should be punished. They are the real dangers. The gods are less dangerous. Gods can be kicked off at one side. But the real danger that religion, the authoritarian religion who want to oppress you, is a ground reality. And we have to face it, we have to accept it, and we have to straight away find ways to address this problem in any given modern society. In societies where such things are not possible, there should be international public opinion coming up to address this problem. It's not only rejecting a faith, it's having the freedom to live the way you want or to have the kind of faith system that you want without the fear of persecution, without the fear of being attacked, without the fear of being socially isolated, and without the fear of being persecuted. How would that be possible? That's where the idea of tolerance has to be more and more stabilized. The idea of the freedom of the individual has more and more to be stabilized. Freedom from religion shall be the option of any individual. That has to be guaranteed in any civilized society, not only by law, but by strict enactment of the social norms around you. Nobody should be persecuted or isolated or controlled by family or society or any given structures to follow their faith. Nobody should be cornered. And they should also understand that if their gods cannot stop this person leaving, what the responsibility they have to keep the interest of the God as they believe the interest of the God is, as if the God is not efficient, has no capacity, but they have the capacity to protect their gods. Most of these people are trying to protect their God and their faith. Sometimes the institution, not only the faith. That's the most important thing I wanted to stress. The religion is an institution. The caste organization is an institution. The belief system is always connected with a ritual pattern, and the custodians of this ritual pattern are the institution. It can be different in different formats. In an Oriental religion, you cannot see the conventional Semitic way of organizing. You can see that there could be a temple, there could be a caste organization, there could be a priestly class, there could be a social order setting what you should believe and where should you stand in the social structure. And the moment you break it, there can be powerful forces coming to stop you. I would call the monsters of the faith, the institutional faith, pounded upon you. Your freedom is not allowed. And that's why most of the people who are free individuals are afraid to come out in a traditional society. Transforming any traditional society becomes more and more difficult, not only because people are not thinking freely, but because they are pressed into that situation by the institutions, by the social structures, by the religious organizations, or by the caste organizations around them. Look at the Indian situation. You try to get educated because most of the so-called lower castes were denied education over centuries. Now there is an affirmative action to encourage these people or get them absorbed into the system. There is huge public protest against that. Why? Because the system has to remain. Because they think that, there are certain old religious norms that has to be continued. Or some people think that, there should be equality between those people who are oppressed and those people who were on the other side, not only in the past, in the history, but in the contemporary reality also. Also, if you break the caste system by marrying somebody from a different caste, there can be forces coming around you, not by the law, but by angry mobs attacking you. If there is a tradition, if there is a ritualistic way of your marriage, if you reject it, you can be killed sometimes. If you break the caste laws and marry from another caste, you can be killed by both the families together. Sometimes couples run away in India because they have broken the caste laws. They go to another city. After 2 years, after 3 years, they are persuaded to come back and break away because the caste laws are to be maintained. And if they don't agree, they're killed brutally by the local communities making their own kangaroo courts, which they call the Kap Panchayat. In northern India, almost 200 such honor killings are happening every single year. Every single year. I've reported, when I was a journalist in India, I've reported so many of such cases and wrote articles with the photographs and understanding or studying the situations. It still happens in India. What is it that's stopping people to disallow others' freedom? Or encouraging people, and on the other way around, encouraging people to stop others' freedom. Why don't they simply think that let people live the way they want it? If two people want to be together, why should they decide what should be their future? A simple question, which anybody with a little common sense can ask. But in the general actual situation, it's not the faith that they are in a caste that stops them. It's not the belief in a certain deity that stops them. It's the system that controls them. The Indian caste system is an invisible big monster, which is engulfed in the whole society, which can manifest itself into different form at different times. Sometimes you can say that, caste does not exist. Many people say that, oh, caste does not exist. But you see it immediately when the caste laws and caste orders are challenged. You see immediately the monster emerges out and beats down the people who challenges the system. So intercaste marriages are allowed legally in India, but it's very difficult. Mixed marriage across religion is so difficult. It's legally not only permitted, but even encouraged. And that's taken sometimes as big political issues. And who wants to stop these things? Who wants to stop the human freedom? Who wants to cling on the traditions? Who wants to cling on the old faith? Who want to keep the old system going the way they want it? Who want to stop people leaving the traditional faith system? They are the structured religion in a different format. That's the same like Catholic Church. That's the same like the Islamic groups. All these people who want to keep the tradition, who want to keep the traditional faith system, who think that, well, you cannot decide for yourself. If you decide for yourself, we would decide what will be your fate. That is religion. That monster is religion. So religion is not, again, a choice of your faith, which is the primary step. Of course, for the individual's liberty, you can leave your religion, you can leave your faith, you can go out of it. But if anybody tries to persecute you or force you or to control you or to isolate you because of your decision of leaving the faith, that's the monster, the structured religion that is around you. It can have different forms. In a Semitic religion, it has a different form. In a caste-bound society, it has a different form. You can see the same thing in Buddhism. The same pattern. Buddhism is generally considered to be a religion of enlightenment, which has a lot of ideas which is connected with human dignity and freedom. But in reality, you can see the same kind of structures in Sri Lanka. You can see the same structures in Thailand, in Cambodia. You can see the same structures existing there. So religion, at the end of the day, is not only a faith system. It's not just spirituality. It's not just the fear of the supernatural. And what we should aim is not only to liberate the individual from the fear of the supernatural and the fear of the gods that many people believe, which is an important thing for the individual liberty, but more than the fear of leaving this traditional faith, the structured religion that stops you leaving this religion is the whole problem. So I would say that once you are free to leave religion, you have an important quality enhancement in your life. That quality enhancement is something that you desire. That's why you want to leave the religion. You can decide, you can see with an open eye all different faiths. If you're born in a Muslim family, you can still read the faith of other people. Their holy texts you can read, you can try to understand it. You can read history of religions. You can be open to different ideas. You can opt whatever you want, or you can reject everything, still you can read and understand everything. Why shouldn't we try to encourage children to be more tolerant, to understand each other's faith, and to educate a whole new generation to be tolerant to the faith of others, or the freedom of people to leave religion or leave faith and lead a life the way they want it. Freedom from faith is an individual choice again, but that is possible only when the structured religion is educated. Well, now we have to educate the religion to behave in a modern society, to cope up with the new value system that we all have developed over centuries. Freedom of the individual, human rights of the individual, freedom of choice of the individual, and finding the ways of happiness the individual wants to have it the way he wants it, without disturbing other people's life. The morality, the value system, everything is based on one's subjective view. The laws are something else, but the personal point of view, what is right and wrong. If you think about a different pattern of faith, can it be a sin? Can it be wrong? If you're brought up in a Muslim family, and if you're curious about Bhagavad Gita, can it be a sin? If you want to think that Muhammad need not be the last prophet, he may not be a prophet at all, can you be killed for that? Can you speak it out? If you're told that Muhammad's picture should not be drawn and somebody wants to draw a picture, can you be killed because of that? If somebody says that I don't believe in the first sin, I just feel that I'm not a person of any sin. I can do right thing and wrong thing. And if I break a law, I will have to face the consequences. I have to follow the social values. And if the values are wrong, I have a right to educate the people, and I have to think about that also and modify the value system accordingly. And I understand that there are a lot of value systems that we developed, including human rights and the freedom of the individual and respecting each other's well-being, and peace as a great value, and freedom of each individual, not only physically, but also mental freedom and the freedom to practice what they want to do in their life. If that freedom is stopped by any faith, that controllers of that faith, the institution that they want to insist that structure, the structural religion can be the obstacle. So I don't say that religions are to be stopped with whatever they want to do. If anybody wants to practice any religion, let them do whatever they want. I believe in freedom of religion also. Because people, if somebody wants to have a ritual for his life, well, he should have that ritual. Who should stop him? I believe in freedom of religion. I reject religion. I consider that it's a monster that stops people's freedom. I believe that it has a structured form that stops human liberty. I understand that religion is one of the biggest obstacles of human progress. But if anybody wants a religion, I would say that let him have it. I have no problem. But that religion does not have a right to against those people who wants to come out of the influence of that monster. Leaving a God is easy, but leaving the structured monster is much more difficult. So we have to stop it. And we are willing to accept the freedom of religion. It's not a question of accepting. It's an inherent right of every individual to decide for himself. If somebody wants a religion, that should be the right of the people. But equally important is the right of the persons who wants to leave the religion. Freedom of religion is understandable, respectable. Yes, it's part of human rights. But freedom from religion is also equally respectable, equally valuable value system. And when the people who left the gods understand the right of the religion to keep their faith for the faithful people, we also want them to understand that there is a right for all those people who want to leave the faith to live peacefully and not to interfere with their life, and to insist that there shall not be any indoctrination on people. There shall not be any indoctrination on children. If there is any kind of education to be given about the history of religion, that should be about all religions, including the non-belief structures. Let children study everything and they can choose whatever they want. There are no gods to be afraid of, but religious monsters, yes, we have to be afraid of because they are ground reality. And that's to be addressed by any civilized society. Thank you very much. Yes, from Zoom, Mrs. Kunyama Mathu. Yes, please.
Thanks for the talk. I too had a lot of questions. So, since I started listening to you for so long, so many questions are very much cleared out, and some more cleared out today. Every day things I'm learning from you. But you told me ignore the supernaturals. I don't think the supernaturals are controlled by any gods. But how can we ignore wind, rain, these things, these facts? We just cannot ignore. It is there, and also we are the extension of that, I think. And so I know you told us morals and truth are grown with the human developments, not with religion. I do believe that. But sometimes when you see these two supernaturals, how can we totally ignore that? It is there. How we need to handle them. Like where I live, millions of people under winter storm, and millions lost their power. They are struggling. Something like that.
Yeah.
How you totally
let's explain something before you continue on that point, because see, what you have a little misunderstanding about what is supernatural and what is natural. Wind is a natural force, and all these natural forces are known to us. But supernatural forces is something that cannot be that is inexplicable, which cannot be explained, than many people believe in. That is called supernatural. For example, Jehovah is a supernatural belief. Wind is a natural thing. A tornado is a natural thing. A cyclone is a natural phenomenon. But a belief in a God that controls us is a belief in a supernatural. That's the difference. I think you're just confused with the natural forces and the supernatural. That's why it's called supernatural. Thank you.
Okay, so I've been hearing your lecture on all of these topics about religion and how it has affected our world, and I've heard you in both Malayalam and in English, but I have to say I'm more of a fan of your Malayalam lectures than English ones. But my question is basically what it is recently there was a news that came up, which essentially said that the people of a certain caste in Madhya Pradesh were afraid of a person who was wanting to come to his marriage on a horse, and basically he was getting threats from another caste in that area, and which is also threatening because of the caste system, because of the hierarchical caste system. And basically what I'm seeing is we could see that the person who is like wanting to come to his marriage on a horse, which is like usually some tradition of another caste, and he's being threatened by the caste of, I think it's called Meena or something like that.
Mhm.
So the interesting fact is both of these castes come under the SC category. So what the interesting thing is that I'm seeing all around me is that the oppressed people are also believing in the religion and everything like that. Let it be the women. Like I've heard you say about the fact that women are also like oppressed in almost all religion, but they are also the ones who are also enforcing it in most places as well. So I just wanted to know what your view is on that, how the oppressed are also believing in it.
You are absolutely right. It's not only a question of hierarchical caste divisions and the problems of untouchability and hierarchical divisions, but also the conflict between different castes who are socially generally believed on the same level. There are conflicts between, supposed backward castes between themselves. There is a division like the old tribes, like the old divisions of clans. There are conflicts between castes. For example, the Jatavas is supposed to be an oppressed caste, but they are one of the most aggressive groups who would kill their own kith and kin who would go and marry some other caste. So it's not only a hierarchical question. It's not only a question, for example, somebody believes that, my son or daughter goes and marries a person of the so-called lower caste, then they are getting angry. It's the other way around also sometimes. It's because caste is a system which people believe that they have a caste duty and they have a caste identity and they cannot break it. There is a caste loyalty. You cannot break it. There's a caste enmity. And that's where I would say that who would keep these kind of enmities as a ground reality? The caste organizations, the faith system, or the custodians of the faith system. There are not much people in these caste organizations to tell them that these barriers are to be broken and the humans are the same. And let people live the way they want it. If they want to break it, go and break it. That's how they should educate them. Those people who are the custodians of the faith system or the controllers of the rituals and the sub-faith systems of all these castes are, again, if you would say, the monstrous religious character, it comes to the caste leaders also. So the division is not only hierarchical. Hierarchical divisions were a serious problem in the past, but more and more we see the clan conflict between different castes. Also, we see religious conflicts, religions which normally consider themselves important and equal to other religions, they get into clash with other religions. And it's not the people, the custodians of this faith, they encourage people to be in conflict because they want to keep the faith system intact. So that's what I was telling. When you want to leave the faith, when you want to leave the caste, why can't you leave it? Because there are people who want to keep you there. When you want to leave a faith, the others don't accept that you are leaving the faith. Also, still you are considered part of that faith. It's not your choice. And if any force that forces you to be in one faith and you cannot leave that faith, I would call them the forces of the ground reality, that is the monstrous caste organization, monstrous caste belief and the monstrous religious belief and the monstrous religion per se. That is what we have to fight off also. The gods we can fight easier because it's a problem with your mind and the supernatural which is not existing. That's easier. If you're a thinking person, you would overcome that very fast. But the ground reality that is around you, you have to address because that's a life and death question to fight. Yes, that's true that there are conflicts between, different castes, not only hierarchical, but also otherwise. Thank you. Now, Saptarshi Bhattacharya wants to ask a question. Yes, please unmute and come.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Yes, fine, wonderful.
This is a very relevant topic about rationalist. I joined this group only for all.
If you allow me to ask again 2-3 questions, if you can.
Sure, please.
So I was also personally, in my family, I was also, I won't say indoctrinated, but I was told about religion and to follow religion. But later on, when I met other people, I slowly could come out and improve. Means I understood the whole stuff. But if we think that maybe thousands of years ago, when there was no law, no democracy, no institution, don't you think religion was required to have a some type of system? And that old system has persisted for whatever reason. But at that time, there was a reason to have religion. Means we didn't have democracy or rule of law or things like that. Religion, our elders in their wisdom had religion, and they made whatever best they thought. Now, in current context, it may not be right. But at that time, maybe it was the best of the worst. So what do you think? Means can we totally say reject that it was not at all good?
I would say that, anything in the past, there is no point in discussing whether it was good or bad. It's a ground reality. Because systems evolved and faith systems evolved and institutions evolved because of some kind of a vacuum it has filled. There have been, small kingdoms emerging. There have been dictators emerging. There was very, very powerful priests emerging. Why did they emerge? Because there was a space for that and somebody came and filled that. So there is no point in discussing whether that was right or wrong, but we can evaluate what it contributed to human welfare, whether we want it in the present context. That's the question we have to address, in my opinion. Because if you think, we don't believe in any kind of monarchy now. We don't practice monarchy in a democracy now. Though there are monarchies, democratic monarchies also are there, but we don't practice democracy in most of the system of monarchy in most of the democratic countries. But should we fight monarchy now? No, we need not. There is no point in fighting monarchy because monarchy was a system. Kings and queens were realities, and that emerged in a time of history. And what they contributed also we can study. We can study what religions have contributed. I don't think that religions haven't contributed anything. If there was another system than religions, probably it would have contributed a different thing. But even the worst religions, like for example, the most intolerant religions that we know, like the Islam in its political format, also has contributed something. It has contributed for a political joining together of many tribes based on one faith. It's a contribution because the traditional clan system and the tribe system collapsed with one faith joining them together. That was a contribution. Also, you can see that the Spanish Islamic Empire has been contributing to the culture and civilization and reading. When the Catholic Church has been, presiding over the mighty dark ages at one side. But should we call that an Islamic contribution, or should we call as a contribution of the Moors who had Islam as their background? So you can look into the back, and any kind of people, any kind of past systems or persons, we can look into that and study. We cannot correct anything. Even when you want to study about Hitler was a monstrous political leader. He has been presiding over the Holocaust, and there have been huge annihilation of people. And one of the most unacceptable kind of leadership that Hitler was is understood now. But Hitler has been responsible for building up the Autobahn, the highways of Germany, which has helped the development of Europe's industrial growth. Well, we can assess and evaluate everything when things are in the past. We can have a cool, detached mind and evaluate things. But we need not condemn them. We can understand, we can criticize, we can negate, we can study lessons. So religions also have contributed. If there were some other system, that also would have contributed something. It has contributed something in the negative side also. And the negative impact to our system is what is more predominant than the positive influence that it had. The most important negative influence was the structured fear that inculcated on the whole system. The fear of people to be free, freedom to think critically about the faith system, and the actual fear of fighting or standing against the establishment. So that's a contribution of religion. There are many things. Sometimes it does join people together against a common enemy. Sometimes it does help people to come together, leaving about their traditional plans. That all we can study. Any kind of human institution has contributed something good and something bad. There is nothing wrong about that. We need not say that it was an absolute monster, did everything bad. That is, the submissive mindset has contributed negatively. But the institution of religion, like any kind of institution, it has something it has contributed. Otherwise, something it has, that is why it existed. And why we reject that? Because we find that those contributions are not relevant now, or the negative contributions are more valid now. Therefore, we don't want it. And that's why more and more people leave the clutches of religion. Those people who are in the faith also, they realize that, they don't want to be under the clutches of religion. They have their individuality. Whole urban people, majority of the urban people do not live in the clutches of religion as they live in the rural society. They may be still religious. There are degrees in the faith of religion or faith, submission to a faith. So I don't say that everything is 100% bad. You don't have to make black and white like that. There are a lot of gray areas, and you can say it can slip this side and that side. What we have to see is, what is it relevant this moment? Is it good or bad? And what role it plays this moment in history? And what was the history that unfolds in front of us? And what was its contribution? And do you see something totally negative in that? And do you think that that can be a bad influence at this moment? Then you can judge about it. And that should be a fair way of seeing it. Thank you.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah.
Actually, I have two more actually. It is a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have today you said against faith. But, I am talking that atheist people should also come in the politics. I also think it is very right, because we are not there. That's in that space. Our voice is not heard. It is not. I am not saying because we are like a pressure cook, but because it's a rational group. But one of the biggest atheist supporting party was CPM. But look at their dogma. So don't you think faith and dogma should both be rejected equally? I am following CPM's Twitter handle. Few days ago, they put a message congratulating Stalin for his achievements. Means what ridiculous thing? Means what are they doing? So in this scenario, where do you think atheists will get a how will they take a political message? Because the communists are full of dogma. It is as bad as any religious faith. And in other places, previously, most of the parties had some sane voice, some atheist voice. Congress had some leaders who were atheists. Even BJP had people who were actually not religious. They were there for political reason. And now if you see all the parties in India, even Aam Aadmi Party, they are going to temples, they are giving tours for people, they are spending public money to send people to religious places. Everyone is pandering to religion. So dogma and religion both needs to be, I think, rejected, or not only faith, because when we say reject faith and reject religion, the other question which comes up in politics is the politics of atheists is communism, and it has totally failed, and it has been a monster. So it means then there is no answer.
Let's come on, don't be that disappointed. The politics of atheism is not communism. Communists, many of the communists by principle are atheists. That doesn't mean that the politics of atheism and free thought is communism. The ideology of any kind of ideology, any kind of dogma has a religious nature. If there is a principle, there is an ideology that is fundamentally unchangeable. That's a religious tenet in that. You can see that, if you take the faith system of a communist, there are many people in different communist parties and all, I don't know, many of them, whether they understood what it means. But if you take the faith system, I'd say the ideology of communism, you can see that it's based on the same kind of a binary that many of the Semitic religions would follow. The God and the Satan, or the Dujjal and Allah. This kind of a conflict you can always see in this faith also, I would say in this faith also. For example, if you see how history is interpreted, there is a deterministic position in that, which sees only for example, for a religion would see only the divine and the evil. Here it would say two economic classes. Every other thing is immaterial. And one is a monster and one is on the better side. The bourgeois and the proletariat. And bourgeois is always bad and the proletariat is always in the right position. And they are in conflict. One is a thesis and there's an antithesis, there's a conflict, and then the synthesis emerges. And history can progress only in this way. That is precisely how the Islam would believe also. There's a conflict between the Allah's ideas and the enemy's ideas. There is an enemy and the righteous position. The permanent conflict between the righteous position and the wrong position. That is what the ideology of Marxism is. And also, it's well known what was Stalin. I don't think there is any other major, political organizations in the world than CPI, in India, which highlight Stalin as a great personality. The contribution of Stalin, if you take, very clearly, the contribution is suppressing. He stopped freedom of expression. He eliminated his opponents, sent people to Siberian prison camps. And if you consider what is a fascist, Stalin fits into that very clearly. Stalin fits into any kind of classical definition of a fascist leader because he followed his ideology, an unchangeable ideology, and tried to implement it because he thought it was right. And that's not what an open political system would speak about, where people have a right. And there is no ideology, but what is right and wrong is decided between what is required and not required. And that's permanently, that's a flexible thing that keeps on changing with the requirement of the situation. But for an ideology, there is a predetermined goal, like a Muslim heaven or a Christian heaven. That's a predetermined goal, and you are trying to struggle to reach that goal. So everything that happens here is to reach that fine heaven. Isn't it the same thing that if you follow the ideology of communism? So I would certainly call, if you take the dogmatic communism as an ideology, it's a clear classical case of a religion. There is no doubt about that. The dogmatic position or a rationalist position, that is why I would say that I'm an atheist, but I'm advocating a rational thought. Rational thought rejects any kind of arbitrary assumption of authority. Any dictator controlled by any ideology, it can be the Pope, it can be the Patriarch, it can be the political leader, Communist Party General Secretary, who is determined and controlled by the drive to achieve a predetermined goal, which is a magical goal, that is practically ending up behaving in the same pattern. So my objective, I would always say that many of the Marxists could be atheists, but atheism is a personal position whether one believes in a God or not. That's not enough for a rationalist. A rationalist addresses social issues and other issues around him with a rational mindset, with critical inquiry, with a permanent quest for correcting himself and correcting the social positions. That is lacking in an ideology which is dogmatic. So I would say that the other question that you said, that if Aam Aadmi Party or any other party is trying to appease religious interests or communities, I would say that that's a weakness of many of these parties. Because why people go for religious appeasement? They think that it's an interest group and you have to please them to win their support. In fact, the right politics should speak about a politics devoid of appeasement, but addressing real issues. If anybody wants to go to a pilgrimage, they should pay for it. It's not the state who should pay for it. There's a big difference when state pays it. Pilgrimage, I think that pilgrimage places are based of no meaning. But if for somebody a pilgrimage place is important, how can one stop it? Let them have it. And those who want to go there, let them go for the pilgrimage. But the state should not interfere into that and try to give money to those people who go to a pilgrimage place. You see that those people who want to go to Hajj are paid money by many of the states. Why should the state pay for it? If a person has a special faith and he wants to fulfill that faith, and going to a pilgrimage place is his fulfillment of his personal faith, the taxpayers' money is not meant for that. That's for welfare measures. And that's not a welfare for somebody's private faiths to be fulfilled. That's a wrong politics. And that has to be addressed correctly. I mean, that's to be seen. I mean, for example, the budget of Aam Aadmi Party, I mean, had provisions to go to the Ram temple, if anybody above a certain age. I would say that that's an appeasement politics. And if somebody gives money to people to go to Hajj, the Hajj subsidy, I would say that that's part of the appeasement politics. It's not government's business to spend the tax money for these kind of things. Let them go. Let government make all the facilities and I mean, let them pay the money and they should go for it. It's none of government's business. Government's business, if there is problems of food distribution, they should think about that. If there is violation of human rights, they should think about that. If there is educational facility made available to people, they should think about that. If there is problems in the health system or the health facilities available to people, they should think about that. If there are requirements of improving the quality of life of people, that should be looked after by the state government. That is the job of the government, not to appease any religious interest to attain more votes in the next election. That's a wrong politics. Whosoever do it, it's wrong. Whether it's Aam Aadmi Party or BJP or Congress Party or Communist Party or CPIM or whatever party, if anybody, I don't know who does it. Many parties do it. But if anybody does appeasement, religious appeasement with the public money, that is wrong. That is not secular politics. Your questions are coming only, isn't it? More questions?
Yes. One more, sir. Everyone accuses the atheist and rationalist that the accusation is rationalist and atheist ask you to leave religion, and then they don't give you anything, and they keep you hanging neither here nor there. And this is a type of nihilism. So I have been reading that the life is meaningless, and everything is meaningless. There is nothing, and anyway, when somebody comes out like this and he openly starts telling his views, because freedom of expression is one of the cherished values. So you cannot hold yourself back. When you do, you get cut off from your relatives and other social circle, because many things are connected with religion and all these things. So don't you think, what is life? What is what I know you have done a lot of things. You said enjoy music, enjoy this, enjoy that. But in daily life, you are meeting a major chunk of people who are connected with religion, whose life revolves around religion, and they feel very offended. They get offended very easily. So how to do? Because nowadays, because of internet and all, reading books are easier and getting access to information is easier. Previously, it was very confusing. Whether this type of thoughts is right or wrong was very difficult. I will say 15-20 years ago, when I started realizing, it was very difficult. And going forward, I see many youths, they just give up. They think that, let me just follow my parents' faith. At least I will not get that inconvenience. So how to go about it? Otherwise, some people will come out and it will just remain like this.
Yeah, that's precisely what I was trying to explain. If you want to leave your religion, what is the business of some other people to come and try to stop you leaving the religion? It's your choice, your personal freedom. They should think about their religion. If somebody wants to stop their religion, that's a mistake also. Nobody should be able to stop somebody's belief system or somebody's faith or somebody's choices in life. It should be the choice of the person involved. So therefore, we never say anybody, we never ask anybody to leave religion or leave faith. We only ask people to think critically, understand yourself. If you don't feel this acceptable, we say that they should have the freedom to choose out of the religion. We don't convert everybody. We are not missionaries of atheism. No, we don't do it. I don't advocate anybody to come out of religion. Well, I would offer you freedom. No, I would say that there is an option for you, which is of freedom of choice and freedom of your life. And this is an interesting way of living a life. And you have an option. It's they who have to decide for themselves. The person's choice is the most important thing. That's how we say it. Then still the question that you mentioned is important. That is, somebody says that if you take away my religion, we don't take away anybody's religion. If they understand that it is something to be taken away, then only it comes. But still, logically, if somebody says that, I mean, you take away the religion, what else you would give? It's like somebody will go to a doctor and say that, please help me to come out of this tuberculosis. Doctor says that, well, you have to take these antibiotics and you have to go. Then he would ask, but when you take away this tuberculosis with these antibiotics, what will you give me instead? I mean, I've been living with this tuberculosis. If you take it away, what will you give me instead? How will I live without a tuberculosis? Well, there are a lot of people who live without tuberculosis, a healthier life than you, and you have that life. Nothing else a doctor can give instead of tuberculosis that is taken away with the antibiotics. So this is the understanding that people should have. The rationalists don't have anything to give instead of a binding dogmatic faith system. We say that you are in a closed compartment. You are in a closed room. You are in a closed box. Open it up. We don't ask you to come to another box, another compartment, another room. We don't offer that. We say that there is a small hook. Take it out and you can open it. Come out to freedom. There is free air outside. There is a big open space. Come to freedom and openness. That's what not we offer, that they can offer to themselves. And it's their choice whether they want to take it or not. That's where the question is. On the other side, there are many people who are intolerant, as you rightly said. When you decide about your life, they feel unhappy about that. The problem is they think that they are the custodians of our lives. So we have to tell them that, well, I know how to look after my life. I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry. Your son tomorrow comes and say that he has his choice of life. Well, I mean, you have to understand that if he's an adult, he has a freedom. You have to respect that. And your son has to respect your rights also. That's how a very healthy relationship must be between two people. Even the son and father should have a healthy, mutual respecting relationship. That's based on respecting each other's choice. Those people who want to feel angry when you decide for yourself, they are not understanding that you have to write it. You who have to decide what you should do with your life. Whether you want to remain in the religion that they think that's important, that they are the custodians of, they are the imposition, they are the custodians of the faith that they are professing. If they say, then you have to tell them in societies like India, you can still say people that, well, you don't have to decide. I know how to decide about myself. But if you're in Saudi Arabia, sometimes you don't have that opportunity. You don't have that freedom because the religious police will come and take you and you may face an execution squad very soon. That's a question of a system difference. In some systems, it's possible. In 17 countries, at least, it's not possible. So when you have that freedom in your system, you have that freedom, and you should not allow other people to impose it upon you. Still, I understand you. There are so many people who try to impose it upon you. And those people say that, will your life be very dull without a God and all these rituals? Well, what is attractive in the ritual? Rituals are not very attractive, but some of the art forms connected with rituals are interesting. But those art forms are not created by the religion. Those were created by humans, and these religions have hijacked it. You can enjoy all those art forms without these religions also, without these rituals also, without this faith also. For example, I don't believe in any kind of gods or demons or spirits or religion or caste or anything, but I come from Kerala in India, and Kerala has a stylized classical art which is known as Kathakali. I enjoy Kathakali very much. It needs a special training to understand Kathakali. I've been a trained Kathakali artist for a long time, and most of the Kathakali stories are connected with mythological stories. Still, I would enjoy it. I would still enjoy Shakespearean plays. Why should I enjoy it? Because my aesthetic level is not decided by the religious criteria which was imposed otherwise. Also, you have in modern worlds, you have literature, you have art, you have music, everything is open for you. You have a happy world waiting for you than thinking of these demon spirits and all these monsters. But of course, you have to be afraid of the real monster, that the custodians of the religion who are trying to threaten you, who are trying to impose their own laws upon you. But look at another example. If you say how people are living happily without religion, look at the happiness index of United Nations in the last few years. Number one is Finland for last 4 years now. 82% of the Finnish population do not believe in any kind of God. They don't practice religion. Only very few people would practice a religion. And most of these people officially who are in the church card also practically do not practice any religion. They don't go to any church. They don't believe in any of these things. They live in a modern, tolerant society. They have tolerance to faith and religion, but they are free from religion, free from the influence of religion. And still they are the happiest people because life is taken care of. Their health system is taken care of. Their education is taken care of. And they have entertainments in their life. And life is comfortable. So that makes life easy, and the life expectancy goes up and the happiness index, you go up. Look at the other countries, Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands. All these countries have majority of the people, most majority of the people do not have any faith. So they are happier than, for example, people who live in Saudi Arabia. There can be political control in this situation, but look at the happiest people in the world. They are the non-religious people. I mean, at least in countries where majority of them are not religious, are still happier people. In any part of the world, you can be a happy person, provided others don't come and stop your happiness and your freedom. You can be happy with everything. When you take a fine glass of tea, the way you like it, and sit in a way the way you like it, and drink that tea, and you enjoy it, you get great happiness. When you eat the right food that you like, the way you want it when you're hungry, you get enormous happiness. When you are in the company of the persons whom you like and love, you feel happiness. When you relax, you feel happiness. When you do any work that excites you, you feel happiness. When you listen to music, you feel happiness. When you start enjoying every little bit around you in your life, you feel happiness. It's not connected with any faith. That's a wrong fear that is given by religion. Thank you.
Sir, do you think religion means one last thing should be removed from religion? My daughter is learning Kathak, but it is full of, although she is not in religion, all this thing, she is only 12, 13 years old. She is sort of atheist because of my influence. But when you are going to have art like Kathakali or Kathak or Bharatnatyam, it is all connected with religion. So people get influenced there. This is my final question.
Yeah, I quickly answer before going to the clubhouse questions. You don't get influenced to religion by any of these arts. If you understand the difference between a character in Kathak, for example, it's mainly devout moments. I mean, in Kathak that is expressed, isn't it? But that's you are turning into a character. If you are performing as Othello, will you transform yourself into a Moor and a king? No. The same way, if you in Kathak, if you are in love with Krishna as a character, you are not even believing in Krishna. If you are acting as Krishna in a play or in a Kathakali or anything like that, you need not believe in Krishna. If you act as Prometheus, you don't become Prometheus of the Greek mythology. If you take any mythology, mythologies are enriched understanding about our past. And I would say that mythologies are important, part of our tradition, part of our understanding of the universe. And even you need not even have the faith system connected with that. Best example is Ramayana is part of a faith system in India. But in Indonesia, where it's not part of a faith system, still Ramayana is performed on stages. It's not part of anybody's faith system there, but it's a play, it's a dance, it's theater there. One can do that. So we have to detach faith and mythology. That's the way one has to do it. When I studied Kathakali, that is what I have been doing. But later, when I was president of the International Kathakali Center in Delhi, I tried to articulate my idea into a different format also, which one can do also. I wanted to study Kathakali. I know Kathakali very well. But I've later directed Kathakali plays, Shakespeare's Othello, I brought into Kathakali. Sisha and Cupid, that from Greek mythology, I have directed in Kathakali. Also a Nigerian contemporary play, I have presented in Kathakali. These all are possible. But first you have to excel in the art. So don't reject art because sometimes it was connected with religion. Excel in art. Then once you are excelled in art, you can even improve it, modify it. Never reject art because it was once connected with any kind of faith. Because art is important. It's like washing a little baby. The baby is the art. The dirt around it is the traditional faith and ritual. Wash the child, make it clean, and take it and throw off the dirty water. Don't throw off the child also along with it. That's the art. Take it with you and throw off the dirty water. Thank you. Now we would go to Clubhouse. There are some questions there. Sajish, who is asking now? Yeah.
Yes, okay. I know. It's another excellent presentation. I like your English presentation because here we get a chance to communicate because in other Malayalam and all plenty of people are there. My question is regarding the rebirth in different religions. Before that, and you rightly mentioned that religions dominate on the birth and the death, the two major things, and of course, the creation of the birth of next generation, that is marriage. There also they put their clutches. So the key point is that birth and death, and of course the life. From your animism, from our evolution part, we are afraid of the natural forces and many things, and religion come into existence. There might be some relevance in that time also. But my point is that in 21st century, absolutely no relevance, because in 1859 we got this thing, evolution theory from Darwin, and after that we got a gene expressions. We have a better idea of the gene and all. After that, absolutely there is no point in the rebirth or another birth of next birth or something like that. So here the point is that being a modern medicine doctor, most of the worries of the people is regarding the morbidity and mortality. Morbidity is nothing but the disease process, a disease, and the mortality is the death. Here, even in a doctors in an end stage of disease, in an accelerated death process, that's like in a cancer patient and all. Here, even the modern medicine doctors say that at the end of the time, they say that there's nothing to offer, you just pray. Because nowadays in the 21st century, if a doctor, even the modern medicine doctor say like that, you don't know anything about a new specialty in modern medicine, that is palliative care. If you have nothing to offer, you pray. But here, when you have nothing to offer in a conventional treatment, we have a medicine to take care, that is palliative care, that take you to the end of your life. We may not be possible to stop your disease process, that is an accelerated death process, but you can give a quality life till the end of the last breath. We have a good, still established specialties there, and it's a big topic also, the euthanasia also. And that also, you mentioned in the last talk that we will have a separate session on the euthanasia also. My point is regarding the death, and of course, the next rebirth, you should have a better idea about the morbidity and how the birth is taking place and the death also happening. I request you to have another talk on the death and the concept of death and birth. Of course, more than that, the death, we have to talk death regarding the death, because death, we know that death is not an event, it's a process actually. Even around the study says that around 10 to 15% people will get a chance to so-called sudden death, because suddenly without any other diseases. Another vast majority have this is a disease process actually. Even in a sudden death, immediately after your cardiovascular system collapses, still most of your major organs, your skin and some other tissues are started still functioning. So that is only a process. And of course, it's end of the process is complete cessation of the process is over. Absolutely, we don't have any other birth next rebirth or something like. So by coming back to my question that regarding the rebirth on the conventional 18th century or 200 years or 300 years back histories, what is there in the Semitic and of course the Buddhist and Hindu, what is the difference regarding the rebirth, and we have to expose that. Thank you.
I think a rebirth is a convenient thought when we think about death. Because death of our dear people, that's sad, normally very sad, isn't it? But the moment people find alternative ideas to come out their sorrows, they think that, people have been suffering here, and they were told, you have suffering here, but you have another world. You fight and kill your enemy, you're daring with your life, but you get a huge reward, as Islam would say. Whatever you lose otherwise when you go for a war, and whatever possibly one considers as great happiness in a given society, that's offered in the other world. Or in rebirth, you are given an opportunity to think that you get a different life again, and you get a chance again. In real life, you never get a chance a second time. Never the same opportunity comes in front of you. But it's a fine imagination that you get again, over again, you can just have a birth. But interestingly, the idea of rebirth is very different in Indian mythology if you take 2 or 3 different texts. In Shiva Purana, one of the ancient texts of Indian belief system, a rebirth as a human being again would be after 1600,000 passing through vaginas that is, which means Chaurasi lakh yonia. That's the word they have used. So, which means you will be born as an insect, as a cat, as a dog, maybe as a worm, whatever it is. But 1600,000 times you have to be born again in different formats. Then only you will get a human life back again. That is one pattern of belief. If you come to Bhagavad Gita, there, to the doubting Arjuna, Krishna says that if you die in this war, it's like changing the dress. Your body would change a dress and you get a new pair of dress. So the inner you is still there and you get a new pair of dress. That's a new life. That's as if it's instantly happening. So these two are part of the same faith system now, because the Shiva Purana as well as the Bhagavad Gita are both holy texts of the present-day Hindus. These were coming from 2-3 different faith systems. But also one has very serious doubts whether these reincarnation beliefs actually existed in Indian faith system earlier. If you take the Samhita of Vedas, the fundamentals of Vedas, not the Vedanga, not the interpretations of Vedas, but if you take the basic Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda, you cannot ever see any mentioning about a rebirth in that. The idea of rebirth did not exist at the time of the classical Vedic literature. Of course, during the Upanishad period, you can have, a lot of inferences. One major argument, which is something I have, started doubting pretty long back, and I've been still working on that. There is no single evidence of a mentioning of rebirth before the invasion of Alexander. And we know exactly the period of Alexander. And before that, you don't see any mentioning of the idea of rebirth in any of the Indian mythology or Indian traditional literature. But interestingly, Alexander was educated with the idea of reincarnation because Aristotle, his teacher, Alexander was educated by Aristotle personally, because the King Philip, the father of Alexander, wanted him to be taught by the great Greek philosopher Aristotle, so that the son becomes a great champion of the Hellenic ideas. And it was, unlike many other invaders, Alexander has been going with this great invasion, not to make a huge empire, but to spread the ideas of Hellenic worldview that included reincarnation. So one of the major thoughts, which I would still like, anybody would like to give me additional feedback, giving me information that pre-Alexander, there is any mentioning in any Indian text, I mean, about reincarnation. I would like to get informed about that. I mean, I've raised this question many times and I'm yet to get any kind of source. Some of the Upanishads are mentioning about rebirth, but clearly the period is post-Alexander. So that's apart from the stream, what we have been discussing. It was out of the stream. But reincarnation has been a sense of our comfort zone of thought, because we think that people have been suffering, especially people so suffering at the end of the life, and they think that if there was another life, they would have a better life. That's a thought. It's a convenient thought. Like heaven, it's a convenient thought. So that is what many of these religions have been harboring upon. The idea of heaven was used very clearly by the Semitic religions. The idea of reincarnation was used by the Indian belief system to maintain the faith structure that it kept. The hierarchical division of Varna was legitimized by the idea of reincarnation. It was most of the, for example, Bhagavad Gita mentions that it was to keep to stop the mixture of Varnas, the hierarchical division, that Krishna had a reincarnation. That and for that, justification of a rebirth is also given in Bhagavad Gita. So one can see that is a kind of comforting to establish or using the faith system to comfort the interest of the system of the day. Now coming back to the palliative care and the last part of human life, as you rightly said, many people die in their sleep, but many people are having, a bad end, because when life expectancy is going up, people living longer and they have chances to get more and more ailment. And when people don't use your brain, or otherwise also, we do not know the exact reasons, many people can have many kind of decline of the intellectual capacity, like Alzheimer's or amnesia, and all these kind of things can, trouble people. It can come to people at an early age also. But then people have a suffering end. So there is a very popular idea that is getting currency all around the world, is to have a right of people to live with dignity and die with dignity. For example, I would not like to have a very pathetic end at the last stage. If I would like to have a death which is not very, very, pathetic and suffering. And if such a situation comes, I would advise that I should get a euthanasia. That's what I think always. And I've been a very strong advocate of the right to die and right to have euthanasia. Informed people who understand what things are and who understand the value of the quality life is, should have a right to think about their own death when they want it. So that's a question of personal choice. So there is a right to die society in many parts of Europe. That's not not a suicide organization or anything. That's an organization thinking about the right to live with dignity. And that you understand only when you see the number of people, aging people who suffer with a lot of ailments. And when you are totally physically incapacitated and you are under the mercy of palliative care to reduce pain. But if your brain is working, if you can read something, if you can hear something, well, that's a different thing. I had a friend, a very old friend who died recently, a British professor. So professor in Reading University, he married a Finnish lady, and both the elder couple, they were my very close friends. And he had a lot of health problems, heart problem, and all these kind of things, and he has been declining. So every time he used to ask himself whether he still enjoys his life. He could still lie down on a sofa, he could sit up and he could read, he had trouble to read books, holding the book in his hand. Then he shifted to audiobooks. And that was interesting. Even in his last hospital beds, he has been listening audiobooks, the latest books he ordered. Some of the books came later after his death. He even ordered printed books. And so till the last moment, he enjoyed reading. That was his greatest passion. I would say that that's an advisable situation. One understands that at an old age, when you have ailment, you will decline. But you can still enjoy life with doing something that excites you. Like if one can read something that excites you, even hear an audiobook that excites you, one can live. And if that is also over, you have a just blank page in front of you and you don't enjoy it, if it's suffering, one should be able at least to opt for one's life or stop additional life support systems. But nowadays, as you rightly said, palliative care is a major field of development in medical system. We know systems, we know methods that people are not suffering. Pain is taken away from people. If one knows that a person is getting terminated by his ailment, one understands what he's going through. And there are many ways to keep the pain off and make the life as much as possible enjoyable till the last breath. Imagine the life of Sigmund Freud, such a great scholar that he was. He had cancer and he had suffered a lot. He was under morphine to stop pain. And even morphine was not enough to control his pain. In the last phase of his life, he was using cocaine to control pain. Some of his critics, especially those who were afraid of his opinions about sexuality and religion, they said that, this Freud has been using cocaine. Of course, he was in a palliative situation, he was suffering. And it was an assisted death that Sigmund Freud had. Much before such ideas came into prevalence. This is a way of seeing things, getting the best out of life and understanding to have the full control on your life. When you live your life the best way you want it, when you know that it's all going, and decide when to pluck off the switch. That is the question of right to live. But in a society where people are sometimes in suffering, people can take wrong decisions. When people can take wrong decisions during depression or when other troubles are there, that would encourage suicide. That's why it's a very delicate question to be handled with very serious care. And also I would say that for an intellectual person who would understand things and who has a very high level of mental capacity should have the right, at least, to decide for oneself. I would certainly like to have a right for myself for that.
Thank you. Life has to be the concept of life and the enjoyment of life is a big question everyone knows the religion. Around adults, around 17 or 18-year-old boys, even boys are blasting out of looking for a better world. That is even in 21st century that is happening. They are still believing on 1,000-year-old literature. And I'm big. I want to mention about this thing regarding the Hitchens also, right? Because in some of my Communist Party members in front saying that even the activists, they are opposing the existing leader. They may not be able to be quiet at the end of if you have some serious illness or something, they will be keep quiet because they want to be wrapped in red flag. That is their ultimate aim. Likewise, even in some non-religious people, at the end of their life, you have some chronic illnesses and they will go back to religion because they're worried about the afterlife or something. But the Hitchens is one of my favorite on that aspect. He became a role model on that. Even end of life, he was very clear on that issue.
Yeah, true. Christopher Hitchens is a very good example how to handle such a situation. He had cancer. He knew that he was going. And the way he handled his life, he understood that now he has, what's the time span available for him? He knew. And he decided to do it the best possible. He gave more and more lectures. He wrote more and more articles. And he announced that he has cancer and he would be leaving you all in a certain time frame. He said he would go in 2 years. He still lived more than 2.5 years after that. Then the last public lecture of Christopher Hitchens. If you remember, you get it on internet. If you can see it on the Rationalist International website also. I've put it on the video section. When he gets the International Free Thought Award, or Richard Dawkins Award, Richard Dawkins personally flew over to the event and handed it over himself. And there's a moment of embracing between these two great stalwarts. And then there was a speech of Richard Dawkins and there was a reply of Christopher Hitchens. One should understand how one sees how light all these kind of things, and making the best and mocking at the meaningless thing of death and taking the best out of this life. And Christopher Hitchens has been speaking also about the huge prayer meetings for him to get cured and get converted. He mocked at them. And how did you get cancer? And he said that many people get cancer, many believers also get cancer, and why I should be spared out of that is the only question I would ask. It's a phenomenon of the nature. Many people can have cancer. This is a process that happens in many people, and I have it. I know how to address it. I'm not afraid of the supernatural, and it affirms my conviction in science and scientific understanding with that. And therefore, I'm not afraid. I know my limitations. I know my time exactly. Therefore, I make it the best possible. That is how Christopher Hitchens handled it. One of the finest the atheists I would always admire. Christopher Hitchens was one of the best known persons in our contemporary times who addressed not only his life, but also his own death in a very, very interesting and exciting way. Shall we wind up, or if there are any more questions or any more comments or opinions to be expressed?
I like to ask one thing, sir.
Yeah, please. Yes.
I see you told us that madrasa are supported by tax money, is that right? I'm not jealous, if they want to support it like that, that is fine. But other religions, I don't know if they have that opportunity. I have no idea. Could you clear that? And also I see the tax monies are used to go for Hajj also. So what is your thoughts on that?
I would say that if any money collected by the state from the people, if it is given for any religious purposes, it's not correct, because the taxes are collected for our welfare, for welfare measures. If people want to go for a pilgrimage, it's their freedom. I would not say that, that's to be stopped. I say that it's absurd. That's my opinion. But they have the right to visit any pilgrimage place, but they should go with their money. It's not the state to give the taxpayers money for that. In India, there is a subsidy for going to Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. That is religious appeasement. If money is given to visit for a pilgrimage to the Ram temple, as it was given in the Delhi state budget, it is wrong, absolutely wrong, because that is appeasement. Any kind of public money spent on religious purposes for appeasing a section of people, or subsidy for pilgrimages and other things, or religious education, that is not, I would say that that's not acceptable, because these monies are not collected for that purpose. It's a misutilization of money. Why the taxes are collected? For the welfare of the people, for improving the quality of our life, to take care of us when we are old and ill, to look after our education. That is why the tax money is collected. If there is any money collected with a special purpose, that can be used for that. But the general taxes cannot be spent for appeasing a religious group or subsidizing somebody's religious pilgrimage. Anywhere in the world, that can be wrong. That's not the state's business. That's possible in a religious state, but in a secular state, in a civilized society, that should not be accepted. That should be discouraged. I think we are off with questions. And this was interesting. Very good questions came. I'm very, very happy about the kind of responses that we got. Thank you very much. We come to an end now. Next week, we'll be speaking about euthanasia. This is well in advance. I'm announcing it next Sunday at the same time, we will be speaking about euthanasia in different countries and what's the status of it and how that can be legal in countries where it is illegal. Thank you very much. What are the possibilities? What are the dangers? Thank you very much.